unfortunately, on the April the 9th of this year, we lost our 2.5-year-old daughter. Yeah. And I didn't really get the full snippet of. I just started listening to you, and I sort of heard the lady talking about questioning anybody in hospital.
Yeah.
And how you're made to feel. Well, I won't go into too much details, catalogue of errors, but the serious thing is on the Friday when she got really poorly, we took her into A&E. And it was quite quiet as it happens, but the junior doctor, Sinner, my wife questioned him and she was dismissed instantly. And then I did it about 5 minutes after. And it created a real awkward atmosphere in the room. And I just didn't say anything. And obviously it's called an SI, the serious investigation. It's actually been conducted already. We're just waiting for their reply. Mm. We've been told by the expert that had she have stayed in and been given antibiotics, she died of sepsis, but we were discharged on the Friday with just a viral infection without anything, and just give her Calpol. And I knew, like Sheila, that something weren't right.
Because you know your child.
I know, and
Are you happy to tell me? Are you happy to tell me what happened once you got home? Or?
Yeah, I mean, we got home and we just give her Calpol, and she sort of went to sleep because it got quite late.
Yeah.
And then she woke up with a swollen face. But we still had in our head that the doctors were right. And, you know, you kind of believe them. I don't know why. But she got worse and worse, so we had to call the ambulance in the end, and they took her. But by then it was too late. And they called in one of the best. They knew it was serious. They were quite shocked to see us again, actually. And they called in one of the best children's hospitals in the south. And we know they're the best hospital because she went there and she was born. She had Down syndrome. She was perfectly healthy. She was so wonderful. And had it have been 20 years ago, and I weren't brain trained to be like this good, law-abiding citizen, I'd have said, no, mate, I'm sorry.
She's not leaving this hospital.
Get another doctor. No, get another doctor. I want an opinion. I don't care what you say. You're just made to feel
like you can't speak up.
You can't speak up. But had I have, and I've got to live with this forever, had I have spoke up, she'd still be alive.
You think? You think that?
No, she would have. She would have, because it was quite a simple. Sepsis is really responsive to antibiotics, but it's like the lottery. You have to give it to at least start.
Yeah, it was bacterial, not viral, the infection.
Yeah, and the thing is as well, if they're not allergic, they know from her records, because she has been a little bit poorly before, nothing obviously this serious, but they know she's not allergic to antibiotics. When she got sick before, the ambulance came and gave her antibiotics on the spot. Because they knew they did it properly. But this doctor refused us and sent us home, and we obliged. And now she's we have to go and visit the cemetery up the road now.
And Stephen, did you say 20 years ago?
No, it was April this year.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I apologise. Yeah. So you said something interesting there about, we are trained
we're
to have an attitude. We are.
20 years ago, I mean, I'm a bit of a wimp now, but I used to be not the ideal citizen, let's put it that way. I had a good heart, so I weren't never that bad, but I'd never be afraid to say what was on my mind and that, but now I am. I completely, as I've got older, I shut up and just go along with it, and, don't never put your head above the parapet or anything. And if I had I ain't going to be like that no more, though, ever.
No.
Because...
And the thing is, what I think as well, what we're not trained to do often enough is it doesn't have to be aggressive. It needs to be assertive. We need to be able to look a doctor or a nurse in the eye and say, listen, I know you're the professional in this mix, but I am the daughter, or I am the father, or I am the mother, and I'm not happy with this. I need more. And you can say it politely, and you can say it 20 times until you get some movement on it.
But they have this amazing skill
I
of
know.
whatever you say in whatever tone you say it, of making it come out like you've said it aggressively.
I know.
You're going against the system.
But it brings back a lot of memories for me. My son was born 15 weeks early and spent the first 15 weeks of his life in a neonatal unit, and then was in and out of hospital and intensive care for much of his early childhood.
And what was that experience like for you in terms of the relationship built between you and the staff? Because I know from friends' experiences that are very loving and caring, and even friendship grew from the care they showed to their child.
Yeah, but I would say mostly very good and very positive. I mean, however, my husband and I did have some troubling experiences, particularly in the neonatal unit. It's probably worth knowing that I was a nursing lecturer at the time and my husband was an engineer. And I think the way we coped with things was probably to ask some quite probing questions, and we were constantly asking questions. We felt really vulnerable, and our way of coping was to ask lots of questions. And we were taken aside once by a consultant, taken to a separate room, which was terrifying, and asked not to speak, not to ask questions of staff, because they felt they were feeling intimidated.
Really?
Yeah.
When the truth is, and again, I've experienced both versions of this as a relative, the truth is, or a patient, that their job, as well as to do the job, the physical job of caring, their job is also to say to you, either about yourself or your baby, do you have any questions? And if you have one question, they should answer it. And if you have 20 questions, they should answer them. And if they can't answer them, they should say they can't answer them. It's not, this isn't negotiable. Is it? That conversation shouldn't be negotiable.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And it's the thing that's really alarmed me the most over the years of being a nurse and going in and out of hospitals with my son, of having to fight his corner, having to fight to stay by his side. I was once asked to leave the room when he was being resuscitated, and I gripped onto the chair as someone shouted, "Can someone get Mum outside?" And I said, "Mum's going nowhere."
Good for you.
We didn't know if he was going to survive, because the previous time I had been asked to leave, I did, and I sat outside and cried, and for my shame I said to the nurse who forced me to leave, "I'll never forgive you if he dies and I'm not there." And it makes me really sad as a nurse, still as a nurse, to say that.
If somebody has...
And I don't trust nurses with my son now. When he goes into hospital now as an adult, I won't leave his side.
Yeah, and I think, Caroline, it's as simple as this. If you, as a medical professional, are putting your hands on my body, or my mother's body, or my baby's body, I'm still the boss.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You're the person whose skills I need, but I'm still the boss.
Firstly, I just want to say how sorry I am for these poor parents, because I can't imagine what they must be going through.
Absolutely.
And having a baby is traumatic anyway. I've had two normal births, and my first two were born at 30 weeks, at 1.5 pounds and 2 pounds, and they were very vulnerable babies. One with a pneumothorax, one with an enlarged heart. And it didn't cross my mind for 1 second that the professionals looking after them wouldn't be doing their absolute best to save their lives and to make sure that they had as little health problems going forward. And I didn't have a problem with communicating with our hospital. But it's just the thought of, I'm just thinking of these poor parents to find out afterwards what's happened. They've lost their babies in hospital, and then they found out later that it wasn't natural causes or something. I just can't imagine how that must feel. I mean, I'm so lucky because my twins are 20 now, and they don't have any health problems, and I just feel so sorry for them.
Yeah. Your twins were born at 30 weeks, is that right? Which is a good, if you're going to have a premature baby, that's a good scenario, isn't it? A better scenario.
Incredibly fragile.
Of course,
and,
yeah.
You
10
go
weeks
into
to go.
the unit, and it's just transported me right back to the unit. Even the smell, I could smell it as a laundry powder, and the alarms and the beeps and the machines, and they had 8 or 9 tubes coming out of them. I think they couldn't be fed for a long time.
Yeah.
So it was all intravenous and things like that. And these nurses and doctors were amazing and so professional
and watchful, so watchful. Because that's what's needed, isn't it? Real observation and hands-on care. Yeah.
And when one of them nearly didn't make it, when she had her collapsed lung, and I'd been up on the ward, they came up and got me, and I was with her the whole time while they were trying to fix it. I never felt they were hiding anything from me or anything like that. So yeah, no, I'm incredibly grateful they wouldn't be here. If we didn't have the neonatal unit, loads of these babies wouldn't make it.